Welcome back to my episode reviews of my favorite Transformers cartoon ever, Beast Wars. In today's review, we're taking a look at the episode, The Probe. In this episode, the Maximals back on Cybertron send a transwarp probe to search for Optimus Primal and his team. And if they can contact it in time, that means they will finally be able to go home. But of course, the Predacons have to mess up their plans. Like I just mentioned, this episode begins with the Maximals back on Cybertron sending out a bunch of probes to search for the Axelon. We actually hear, but don't see, two Maximal officers as they launch the probes, even though the TF Wiki only mentions one Maximal officer, voiced by Doug Parker, the voice of Terrorsaur.
Temporal probes launched.
If Optimus and his crew are anywhere out there, we'll find them, bring them home.
Maybe the other voice is their Maximal computer? But I'd like to think that it's another Maximal over the radio. I couldn't find any credits for these two voices, so it's kind of up to interpretation for who they might be. Could this be Lyle Convoy and Big Convoy? Or maybe Prowl and Ironhide? Who knows? But this could be a great little point to hook into if you're writing some Beast Wars expanded fiction. Back on Earth, the Maximals are returning to their base after, I guess, a midnight stroll?
The last one back to the base is Predacon Chow!
No way, furball! I ain't staring at no hairy cat butt!
No, Rat Trap, we know exactly what kind of butts you like to stare at. Seriously though, how is Rat Trap keeping up with Cheetor? He's a cheetah and he's a mouse. But Mom and Dad disapprove of the kids racing.
You lose again, Ratchet!
Oy. Don't cats ever get tired of being stupid?
Inside, Rhinox has detected the probe. And I like how the other Maximals man their stations. It almost gives us an idea of what they'd actually be doing if it wasn't for the whole Beast Wars thing. Rhinox tries to contact the probe but is unable to. I like the subtlety they put into Dinobot's animation here, as everyone else is excited about the idea of going back to Cybertron, but Dinobot is not. And when they are unable to contact the probe, everyone else is sad and he is happy. But of course, they'll have a second chance to contact the probe and start building a signal array to do so.
You do realize we're in Predacon territory. If the Preds catch us up here, well, we'll be beautiful targets.
Building the signal array here is our best shot at contacting the probe. And Tigertron will watch our backs.
But unfortunately, Tigertron is attacked by Tarantulas and his new transformation lock lens, which was actually homaged in the new Beast Wars comic book series. The others hear the commotion and Optimus sends Cheetor to go check it out.
I'll follow him. He may need my warrior skills.
No, we need you here. We haven't got much time to finish the array.
This would actually be a good point to do a what-if style scenario. As we know from watching the rest of the episode, not to mention the fact that there's 40 or so episodes to go in the series, they obviously don't end up contacting the probe and returning to Cybertron for a very long time. But what if they had? I'll let you think about that while we finish off the rest of this episode's summary.
You're what I'm afraid of. I am Predacon despite our alliance. And when your ship comes to rescue you, my fate will be the same as Megatron's.
So Dinobot is afraid what will happen to him when the other Maximals arrive. Assuming that they capture Megatron and the other Predacons, collect the stasis pods, and everyone returns home, Dinobot would still be considered a criminal for helping steal the Golden Disc. More so, he'd be branded a traitor as well, ostracized from both the Predacons and the Maximals. He would literally be a bot without a faction or a home. This is probably the same reason why, in a future episode, Victory, not to be confused with the series, he elects to stay on Earth and live out his remaining days there, rather than return to Cybertron with the other Maximals. So both Tigertron and Cheetor are hit by the transformation lock beam and captured by the Predacons.
Don't cats ever get tired of being stupid?
When Scorponok is recording the Maximals, for some reason he has a bad word written in Cybertronics in the lower left, which I'm not going to translate for you for obvious reasons. I'll just let you figure it out for yourself. Also, apparently the little button in the center of his chest acts as sort of a data storage device? Scorponok really does seem like the sound wave of the Predacons. As we saw in last week's episode, he also has his own little deployer bot. And now he produces storage devices from his chest? Too bad he's not as smart as Soundwave. I also wonder why he didn't just send his Cyberbee instead of having Pterosaur messenger it. Maybe he's still rebuilding it after it blew up in the last episode. Cheetor accidentally lets it slip about the probe. And I like how we get this cute little moment between the two kitties. I also really like this little buddy moment between Dinobot and Radtrap. Aww, so cute. So the Predacons get the drop on the Maximals. Although I don't really get what the point is of having a distraction if you're just going to announce yourself anyways.
Nobody does that to my team, sister.
Look at where Radtrap is shooting Black Arachnia. Is he aiming for her
Boobies.
and then a shot to the face to finish her off? Ouch! Poor Black Arachnia. Also, I just noticed that Scorponok is down below her, so she must have landed on him too. I like how Optimus kind of pulls off an Arya Stark. You know, before Arya Stark even existed. Maybe we should call this maneuver pulling off an Optimus Primal instead. So, the Maximals are all locked in their beast modes, Megatron destroys the array, and their hopes of returning home anytime soon.
Cybertron won't find you now, and the war will go on until I am the victor.
In a way, he's kind of right.
Let's start with the Beast Wars. They are over. You lost.
And we end this episode with the probe returning back to Cybertron without having found the Maximals. This was a pretty decent episode of Beast Wars. Probably the best thing about it was Dinobot's little moment of him fearing of what would happen if or when he returns to Cybertron. Again, something that would be touched on again in a future episode. Or maybe episodes if you really think about it. It's also interesting to think what would have happened if Dinobot went with Cheetor. Could the two of them have taken out Tarantulas and his new toy without being locked in their beast modes themselves? What about Scorponok and Pterosaur? Would Cheetor and Dinobot have gotten the drop on them as they returned to the array? Thus preventing them from notifying Megatron and allowing the Maximals to successfully contact the probe, and in turn Cybertron. What would have happened to Dinobot? I assume Cybertron would have sent the cavalry and captured Megatron and his Predacons. And Dinobot would have been forced to return to Cybertron whether he wanted to or not, likely to be brought up on charges, with no doubt the other Maximals testifying on his behalf. Would he have been tried in court? And, like I mentioned, even if he was released, he would be an outcast, seen as a traitor to the Predacons and a criminal to the Maximals. One point of interest in this episode is that Cheetor actually uses his tail gun when Tigertron is around, I guess to help differentiate the two. While I have heard people mention this fact before, I haven't heard anyone mention how Tarantulas kinda does the same thing, as we see him with a slightly different version of his gun, rather than his more toy-accurate one. This one may be inspired by the fact that on his original toy, you can actually take off his spider legs and use them as missiles as well. But of course, you never see him do that in the show. But I wonder if the animators employed a similar rule with Tarantulas and Black Arachnia as they did with Cheetor and Tigertron. So when she's in the same episode, he defaults to using an alternate gun as well. It'll be something to watch for in future episodes. When we do see Tarantulas and Black Arachnia side by side in this episode, Tarantulas is actually using his spider leg guns, while Black Arachnia is using her toy accurate gun. So maybe my theory is correct. I also wonder if Tarantulas' transformation lock lens in this episode inspired Megatron's transformation lock virus in Beast Machines. Obviously, the implementation is different. The lens is a weapon similar to G1 Megatron's Transfixatron in the original series episode, The Autobot Run, while Beast Megatron's virus is, well, a virus. And yes, in additional fiction, it is explained that it is actually something that he stole from his mentor Cryotech, not something that Megatron created himself. Well, let me know what you thought of this episode of Beast Wars down in the comments. Remember to like, share, and do all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you back here next week for the next episode of Beast Wars Victory! I was literally just talking about that episode in this review. So I guess you'll get to see what I was talking about next time. So be sure to come back next week for that.